Welcome to the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour, the best 120 minutes of your day. Guys, we got a great last show in store for you today. Up first, I want to give a shout out to the starting five for on this great Tuesday in H-Town. We got the Panther Network. We got Darrell Anderson. We got Brad Kimball. We got D. Holcomb, and of course, Thaddeus Moody, who has a whole message for you guys, and we'll put it right on up. There we go. Those are our starting five today in the Chop Shop. Man, first and foremost, as we let some of you guys file right in, Robert Hatter, as you guys know, they are on. He's traveling with the Texas Southern University men's basketball team, who are en route back to Houston after taking care of business with Alabama State last night. That's 80-69, the final score. Texas Southern is rocking and rolling right now in the SWAC. They're in second place, second seed behind Southern. And really and truly, guys, you know, when you get to the postseason, due to the fact that this is a one-bid league, which means the team that wins the conference tournament goes into the NCAA men's basketball tournament and women as well. That's the one that goes, not the one who wins the regular season conference race. So shout out to them. Great game last night. TSU had it. They were on the ropes a little bit, taking care of business early on, and ended up pulling this thing off once again by double digits. As for Prairie View A&M, they suffered, I think, their fourth loss in a row, 98-82 at the hands of Alabama A&M. And understand, we talked yesterday, Prairie View, they lost their leading scorer, a potential conference player of the year in Nick Anderson, and they lost him over a month ago. So that explains why Prairie View all of a sudden lost some of the punch. This team, they were putting a lot of eggs in the basket for Nick Anderson to lead them through this year. He's gone. At the same time, as a coach, you recruit these guys, it's next man up. Braylon Bush, former Sealsby High School star, I think he might have scored 26, 28 in Prairie View's loss last night. That's good, but ain't good enough. And you're talking about a 16-point loss on the road. Only person that's happy about that is you in the locker room. You got to be able to make winning plays and get better and somehow fill the gap of the winning plays that you would have gotten and were used to it being accommodated by Nick Anderson. Also, in other SWAC news, Southern University 63, Mississippi Valley 42. How about Florida A&M 72, Jackson State 62. Grambling 81, Arkansas Pine Bluff 77. And of course, Alcorn 70, Bethune-Cookman 61. That wraps up last night's SWAC action on the men's side. By the way, TSU and Prairie View will play on Saturday afternoon. That game there is slated, of course, for 3 p.m. tip-off at the H&PE Arena. That's a 3 p.m. tip-off, Prairie View at Texas Southern. I think that would be preceded by the women's. And speaking of the women's, Texas Southern, they picked up yet another conference win, the women, that is, to remain unbeaten in conference play. I haven't checked and found any news in regarding to that, but if you guys know, I'm not sure when is the last time that Texas Southern women won 7 straight games to start the SWAC conference play. I'm quite sure they've done it before, but have they ever ran the table? We'll get with maybe Ryan McGinty if he's watching right now. He could, or Kevin Allen. You guys can drop that nugget with us to let us understand, let us know, so we'll know just how great this run is and could be for the TSU women's basketball program. We what else I got? Let me make sure that my ringers are off. And you guys, meanwhile, yesterday we talked about a little bit about we had some audio difficulties with you guys, and that was echoing real bad. Make sure is everything okay with you guys out there. Can you hear me good and clear out there right now? Let me know. I see all you guys out there. We're gonna keep this thing popping, and let me know that before we go too far in down the road on today's show. Man, so much to talk about, so much. But in the SWAC, in regarding the SWAC info and news, I'm really, you have to. This is a culture now. It's a culture. TSU has been winning repeatedly, either predicted to win, place, or show in the SWAC for us men for a decade. For over a decade. Think about it. I mean, they've been since the Mike Davis era, and of course now you have the Johnny Jones era. Both men tip my brim to both, but especially Johnny Jones now, because he's coming into the program and with a new landscape of college basketball, a new landscape of college recruiting. This is not wasn't on the agenda from the cloth that Johnny Jones was cut from. He wasn't raised or briefed and having his brain massaged to understand how to navigate around this NIL era, how to navigate around these young men that in some cases, in some situations, they're making more than the coaches or the assistant coaches. And in this new era of the lack of respect for these guys, the new era for whereas you're talking about a whole different dynamic with social media. So you have to learn to adapt, and that's what he's doing. Shout out to Johnny Jones. Hope you guys get make it back to H-Town safe and sound, and get ready to keep those winning ways going when Prairie View comes into town on Saturday for men and women. When success like this, it normally, all good things don't last forever. And at some point in time, in the very near future, as it ever happened already, there's going to be a conference that's going to take a serious look and pluck Kevin Granger and attempt to pluck him away, that current athletic director. And it's not a bad thing. Then he would have to make a business decision. One of the things that kept him grounded, you gotta realize, it was just a decade, maybe 12, 13 years ago, Kevin Granger was coaching at Worthing High School. Worthing High School. Well, maybe 15 years ago or so. And got it out the mud. Opportunity presented itself. Charles McClellan came over from Prairie View, became the AD at TSU. Brought in Granger, be his right-hand man. Taught him some of the ropes. A lot of the ropes. And man, look at and then as TSU had progress during those times, Charles McClellan became more attractive. Then an opening came to be the commissioner of the SWAC, in which he assumed and has took that conference into new heights. I'm seriously. I mean, landing different sponsorship deals and then doing it. I mean, this man moved the needle, and landing himself on a couple of committees, including the NCAA tournament selection committee, which I think he's sitting at the end of the table. If I'm not mistaken on that. This is how you move the needle. And it's no way that while you're sitting there with other ADs and other presidents or former of whatnot, that if they get to whispering, next thing you know, and small talk here and there, and they may ask him, what's his thoughts? Who's the best AD in that SWAC? He's going to always look out for Kevin Granger. It's just a matter of time. Now, once again, Kevin Granger has a son. He's at TSU. I think he started the other night. I don't know. And look at the box score from last night. Kobe Granger. When Kobe Granger is going, that don't mean that maybe holding him back, but it's always a little bit fun, I would imagine, for a dad to watch his son play in college for basically no additional travel costs whatsoever. You're going to work and get to watch your son play. You're getting paid to watch your son play. How about that? How about that? You put it in perspective. Getting paid to watch your son play collegiate sports. And so, I mean, that has to be the life. Like I said, business decision. Somebody's going to pluck him away or try to pluck him away. And that is Kevin Granger from Texas Southern University. Now, let's go right into it and dive right into some stuff. We'll talk McDonald's All-American game. You guys just relax. We're definitely gonna talk about that. Definitely. But I want to go into the back nine at the top of the hour. We'll come into that. Or maybe a quarter till. But first we got some unfinished business. Well, not unfinished. We got some business on the agenda. Last time we're gonna talk McDonald's All-American. We're gonna talk some more college basketball. We'll talk a little football, what you guys want to. We'll talk some baseball for a couple of minutes. Astros baseball, that is. So all is coming up. But first, let's go straight into the NBA. Boy, I watched the end of the Houston Rockets game last night. Shout out, of course, you guys remember yesterday was Sandra's birthday. So we had to go and do the family dinner thing, come back in, and right on time to catch the last couple of minutes, maybe the last minute and a half. Hey, man, Houston Rockets 114-112 over the Boston Celtics. Now, understand something. Boston had beat the snot out of the Rockets earlier, a couple of weeks ago. But what's impressive about this run is that, the grit from coming from behind by double digits in the fourth quarter. You understand the grit from the tenacity in this team in every night. There's a couple of players that we know, like Sengun. We know he's a free space in bingo. But this was a rare night that Jalen Green was struggling offensively. Then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, he picked it on up and got in a spurt, and that's when he got the clicking. It was power. But you had other players like Dylan Brooks. 10 threes last night. 36 points. And it's something, and it's a different player that's playing the Robin role. It's this team here. Remember, just a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, and I'm glad because I say it all the time, and I tell you that, you guys, whenever you hear a trade rumor and it leaks out, that is normally a sign that somebody doesn't want it to happen. And it leak it out because there's a possibility that it could happen. So if we leak it out, then that means that person, somebody has to answer a whole lot of questions. Man, y'all gonna do this? Y'all gonna get Jimmy Butler? Man, what you really do? So now you got to answer that, entertain that same conversation over and over. Then y'all gonna get De'Aaron Fox? Man, you gonna really get him? Man, what to do? So now this team has proven with a small sample size, you beat Cleveland and Boston in a 3-day span. On the road. Now this Boston game, let me add something to it, and I always say, take it and run with it, Rockets. We'll take it and run with it. I understand. Even though Rockets didn't have a Jabari Smith, he's still out. I get that. But Boston didn't have Derek White. He's out. He didn't suit up last night. Neither did Al Horford, who plays a small role, but he's a huge attribute to Boston Celtics and their entire flow. Derek White, an Olympian who moved the needle on the defensive, has a serious role with that program, with that team. He wasn't there. So we just don't take it, don't poke the bear. We got the win, we good. Now, I want you just to pay attention to something from last night. Something that I've been talking about for a couple of weeks. And that is Cam Whitmore. He's on the trip. He played last in the win against Cleveland. He was not in uniform on the bench last night. So all you do is pay attention. So obviously some other members of the mainstream media paid attention, and they asked Ime Udoka about this, about the whereabouts, about the availability of Cam Whitmore. And his response was pretty much simple. Cam is sick and back at the hotel. Just pay attention. Not saying it's not true. A lot of players have been caught sick and stayed back at the hotel. But we'll see. Let me see. What's the date? Let me get my calendar. It's the 28th, right? So we have the 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. It's 8.5 days before the trade deadline expires. 8.5 days, guys. Just hold tight. Cam Whitmore has been balling. So Rockets won this game without Cam Whitmore because you're going to get something for him, but he's not going to be the only one that's traded. I don't see where minutes, if Cam Whitmore didn't play, and Cam Whitmore had sliced into the slot, the minute slot of Reed Shepherd, and Cam Whitmore didn't play, I mean, that meant more minutes for, like, I know Tate got minutes off the bench, a little small sample size, but that was more minutes for other people. But then Jabari wasn't playing. What about when Jabari comes back? I think there might have been. So there's no room for Reed Shepherd in this rotation this year. I don't care how many times you go to the G League and score 49 points or 48 points, an average 30 points down there. It doesn't even matter. He's not the only one. Did you see the numbers that Kenneth Lofton Jr. was putting up in the G League last year and the year before that? You could do that and that still not be good enough right now. And so pay attention. Cam Whitmore, he was sick and back at the hotel. If he has a social media presence, just pay attention. And speaking of these Rockets, Amen Thompson is making it very, very, very hard to bring Jabari Smith back probably when he wanted to come back. Because you want him to play this thing out and see how this thing going to form out. There's no way that you can come back and put him and bench Amen Thompson. So what do? You know, we're not talking about no 10-year vets. You know, I mean, Van Fleet is, but I mean, his position is not in jeopardy. But we're talking about minute slots. If this team is winning like that, who's going to be the understand? If you guys, what do you think that Jabari will do? You think he would go and tell the Rockets, hey man, yo, I'm cool. I can come off the bench, man. Young fella, that's my team. Young fella balling, man. We don't want to mess that up. Right? So does he do that, or does he, if you don't say nothing, remember, they've won 3 straight. Beat Cleveland twice. Beat them once in Houston, then went on the road, beat them in Cleveland, right? And then just before beating Boston. They play again tonight. So pay attention. Talking about the Rockets. They play tonight. Then they get a day off. They play in Atlanta. Should be another win. That should be 4 straight. Then after Atlanta, they go to Memphis on Thursday. A Memphis team that they've beaten, I want to say twice in the past 2 weeks. So laws of averages might play out, you know. But I'm bullish. Amen Thompson, man. 33 points, 9 rebounds, and a game winner. His first pro game winner. What it goes to show, if you look at Amen Thompson, and then you look at Jabari Smith, those were the 2 top picks for the Rockets, lottery picks, right, over the past 3 years. Last season and the season before. Well, season before last. Reed Shepard was last season. So sorry about it. 2 of the last 3 years. And Reed Shepard has proven that he's could be considered too good for the G League. But this is a Rocket. Normally you get players like a Reed Shepard, remember, would go to a team that's struggling, the bottom feeders. The Rockets got a good lotto ball draw last year. They missed the playoffs by 1 game. So it's just not any minutes here for him. So what if you read Shepard? You don't really have much of a choice. You're in a straight year 1 of a rookie deal. But is this fun, or would you rather be playing? Would you rather be with the Washington Bullets, who ain't won but 6 games all season? Ball your ass out over that. See, some people would rather go through this and win. Some people would rather. I think it's a time, and I think it's not a one-size-fit-all type thing, because you can learn a lot. Especially, I mentioned Ime Udoka earlier. You think he didn't want? You think Boston just came into Houston and beat the snot out of the Rockets a couple of weeks ago? You think it's his first trip back to Boston this season with this new hand he's dealt with? You think he wasn't ready for this? If you think Kevin Sampson was happy, you know Ime Udoka was happy on this win. So now people This is what it takes when I tell people all eggs don't hatch on the same day. It's when you get certain kind of wins. You check it out. You get certain wins, guys. And certain wins will make a person change their perception of you. After, you guys got to keep doing it. Some people just like these kids out here. They get here, they do this, they do that. Just keep on pushing. They want, like, well, let me see you do it against this team. Let me see. You went on the road and beat Cleveland. Well, you beat Cleveland at home. You beat Cleveland on the road. You beat Boston on the road. Now, you can't let off the gas and get holed out by Atlanta. Which, not saying Atlanta is a playoff contender, but and it's hard to win that many games in the NBA. I get it, but these Rockets, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I'll tip my brim to these guys right now. And speaking of NBA. That's right. I go to some of your comments right now. And Keith Avery, we will get to your comment on the back nine. If you're still watching, I saw you. And I will address your that convo on the back nine when we are talking about the McDonald's game, the selections. We're gonna talk. You guys can gear up for that. And I might even open up the phone lines if you want. But please post that question again at the top of the hour because it's going to get lost on the feed. It got lost already. It's way back from a lot of guys coming. If you're watching right now in the Boom Boom Room on Facebook, we're going to ask you to share the show right now. Can you share the show to your pages, to your groups? You know, I'm rocking on this Chop Shop. Jim, yours truly, Jim Hicks, solo on the day. I'm going to need a little help from you guys. Let's help me to push this fingerprint out there. Let people know you got Hicks on here. Let's get it on. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Take all your questions. And we ain't going to hold no punches back. That's how we're going to chop somebody up if they need be. Because this is the Chop Shop. Right? Now, more NBA talk. I'm seeing some of the comments. I'm just now scrolling down. So, guys, I see you, Doug. Doug Salesman is the best player on the team as we get off of the Rockets. Right? Now, here's the next conversation in NBA. Jimmy Butler. I brought his name up a while ago. He's been suspended again by the Miami Heat. And they're suspending him 5 games, which definitely means that he will not play in the Miami Heat uniform this season. I'm going on the ledge and feel this. I'm feeling very safe to say he will never put on a Miami Heat uniform ever again. According to reports, he was at practice, and after being informed that he was going to come off the bench because they're trying to work in it, it's like they know they're going to move him. Remember, we talked about 8.5 days left before the trade deadline. They're going to move him. It's every day that goes by makes it harder for the Miami Heat to get premium return. The bidders out there know that. That's anything you got, guys. That's like having some milk with an expiration date on it. Each day that gets closer to that expiration date, I'm not paying full price for that milk. You know you can't get full price for the milk unless you catch a sucker or somehow change the date or whatever. This is how you can look at this Jimmy Butler thing. They couldn't get full price for him 3 weeks ago. So that means now you got to try to get you as many draft picks as you can. Stock up on draft picks. Get you one player or two. Miami, this let's see, what are they record? What is the Miami Heat? Let me look it up. I'm just curious. See just what kind of ball. Oh, the shit. They're in the 6th seed. But, so they would, and 4 games out ahead of the 10 seed. 5.5 games ahead of the 11th seed. 10 seed gets you into the the play-in, not the playoffs. The play-in is not the playoffs, guys. So, what do you do to your Miami Heat? You got to get one serviceable component for Jimmy Butler. But at the same time, last 10 games, they're 500. Bam Adebayo's stepped up big. They got a big double overtime win last night. Tyler Hero had 30. I think whoever comes, they're going to Miami. They're going to Miami. So they're going to be optimistic and filled with glee no matter who comes into at the same time, you need somebody that's serviceable that can help keep the chemistry and keep the locker room on an upbeat tempo. That's somebody. At the same time, somebody that can go out there and produce on the court. That's first and foremost. Immediately. What do they do? The Miami Heat. But what Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure the details on his contract, what kind of no trade clause, if he have any of that, or if he's waived it. I'm quite sure he has because he wants to be out of there. But the thing is this. If you're Miami Heat, as much frustration as Jimmy Butler has caused you over the past month or so, do you do him a huge favor? Do you do like what the Houston Rockets? Remember, James Harden caused the Rockets lots of frustration in those days. Remember, he came in either one or two, either A or B, either vastly overweight, or he had on a bodysuit with people with room and he had one or the two that last season. You guys remember that? And still, they enabled him to go to Brooklyn to join Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. One came later than, afterwards, But that was a conspired effort. They still let him go. Then, got to Philly. Still, got to the Clippers. So, do Miami do Jimmy Butler a favor, a solid, and put him with a program that can win a championship? Oh no, that's a good question. Time will tell. Time will tell. I know one thing. I know one team who we don't need it to be, and that's the Houston Rockets. We good, Paul. We good, boss. We good over here. And that's how I would definitely address that conversation if I'm Houston. And wow. Just got a text message from over C.E. King Middle School. Says ICE is across the street at the McDonald's in the parking lot. So if your babies are in school or anywhere over that way and you fit the description, you might want to go and check on what's going on. And this is all over the country right now. A lot of people, and they're gonna deny it, but they're gonna deny it publicly, but they're gonna cry in the dark about their decision that ended up shooting themselves in the toe. More NBA basketball. Joel Embiid was reportedly videoed. He's on a social media clip turning a cartwheel. Guys, I can't make this up. Turning a cartwheel. And he had already been ruled minutes after he'd just been ruled out for tonight's showdown with the Los Angeles Lakers. Philly's at home hosting the Lakers this evening. It's a 6:30 tip-off. Joel Embiid is turning cartwheels. They also ruled him out for Wednesday's game. Sacramento comes to town. Philadelphia's in the 10th seed right now. Remember I told you that the team was Atlanta was 4 games ahead of the 10th seed or whatnot, 11th. Philly is the 11th seed looking in. They need every win they can get right now. And Joel Embiid, the public sentiment for him has decreased vastly since he won his MVP. He basically begged for that. Might have got slighted one year, I get it. But once you got it, it's almost as if once you got the coochie, you change your number. We don't even know. We can't. It's you wanted a gold medal so bad that you took the road less traveled and declare and utilize your just snub and just shit on France and all the shit on the African-based country that you could have played for as well and played with USA just so you could get a gold medal. To some people, I tell you, some people, some things mean more than others. And a lot of things that mean something to us, it's obvious to tell. The game of basketball ain't fun. It ain't enjoyable anymore for Joel Embiid. It ain't. It ain't. And you know, what do you say? What do you Philly, they took a gamble, they kept him. Yeah, realize Jimmy Butler was with him before. Jimmy Butler was there. He was there. So what I do is I take a quick break and remind you guys what's something that's coming up. And we got 15 minutes before we get to talking some McDonald's All-American talk. But before I take the break, I forgot, speaking of the Lakers in Philly, last thing, Lakers. How about this? I mean, Anthony Davis went berserk last night. Y'all, good gracious. I mean, what was it? 40 and 23 rebounds and a W? He's balling. Jared Vanderbilt finally made his season debut with the team. That gives him a body and 4 to 6 fouls. Gives him another piece of length on that court that understands what they're trying to do. I mean, does he move the needle? No, but for them, Jared Vanderbilt is very important to them. A healthy Jared Vanderbilt. Lakers have won 4 straight. Right? They've won 6 out of their last 7. That matches the best string of 7 games, stretch of 7 games they've had all season. That was back from November the 8th to November the 21st. So the Lakers, one can argue they're playing their best basketball right now of the season thus far. Remember, right now. They got Philly without Joel Embiid tonight. And then they have the Washington Bullets. Hell, this could be a 6-game win streak. This could be 8. I'm sorry, this could be 8 out of 9. Pay attention to those Lakers. Meanwhile, we welcome everybody to the Chop Shop and give you guys something that's coming up, and that is the Middle School City Championship. The Middle School City Championship, and that's taking place on February the 15th and the 16th. Well, I put that up there. I'll tell you about it. Let me grab something out of this fridge right here. The Middle School City Championship. You know what? It's the city championship. Basically, you come in first or second place in your district, and you qualify for this event. And a lot of the teams, this is one of my favorite events of the year. I'm telling you, the energy in this building is unbelievable. I'm telling you, a lot of these teams hadn't lost a game all year. They're getting there. They're going to go at it. They're going to be competing. They're going to be running their stuff. It's a great atmosphere. If you live in Houston, I'm telling you, you want to stop by. It's MacArthur High School and MacArthur Middle School. They both are, MacArthur 9th grade center across the street from each other. It's really a simple 100-meter walk between the two schools. It's really close. You park your car, you don't have to get in to go across. A lot of people track like ants going from one building to the next. It's a great, great atmosphere. We invite you guys out. You got a team. My thing is this. If you are a grassroots coach, and you have a 7th grade team or 8th grade team, what I would do if I'm you is you can look out for that team, because somebody on that team has a winning program at their middle school, and you can go and let that team wear your jerseys or something for the weekend. That's free advertising. That's helping marketing your program. That's giving you, and if that team have any success, who knows, the principal might walk through. Now he might like you. Next thing you know, he might let you come in the gym for a little bit of nothing, to rent the gym to do workout and to do practices. This is how relationships can be formed or re-energized. I'm giving you the game. Some of you, that's all you have to do. The coaches can't coach their teams in the Middle School City Championships. The coaches can't coach them. This is technically a non-scholastic event. You see? It's non-scholastic. So that means it's no different than a fall ball, but it's winter ball. It's no difference. But in this particular event, all the kids must attend the same school. You don't have to play on the team at the same school. You must be enrolled or attend the same school. Must be enrolled at the same school or must have played on the team. Put it like that. Either or. Enrolled at the middle school or played on the team. Reason it's worded like that is because there are some kids that could have flunked. Some kids could have been ineligible. Some kids could have been injured all season and didn't play, but they're still enrolled there. They can still play in this. There are some kids who might have gotten in trouble and went to the SAC or the alternative school, but they still played on the team before they got in trouble. Well, they still can play in this. Go to rcssports.com, rcssports.com, and you'll have all the intel and the frequently asked questions about this event. It's right there on the front, along with a link to reserve your slot. That's the Middle School City Championship. I really believe every major city in the country should have one of these. I honestly believe that. It ain't no greater degree of energy in the building that's kind of related to a scholastic vibe than this thing right here. So mark your calendars, it's February the 15th and 16th. So that's now back with 49 minutes past the hour. 49 minutes past the hour. And I get a little Houston Astros deal out the way. And that is the Astros have dealt closer Presley. They've dealt him, right? And which basically was a money drop, which is good. I wasn't pleased and didn't feel comfortable with him when he came on the mound routine several times. I felt we had a surplus of starters, and you could have made one of those setup guys could have been your closer, and you make a starter go into the bullpen to be the setup guy. That's what I think. Astros, come on, they know what they're doing right now. You need to move this guy. Need to move him, and so that's my take on Ryan Presley and his and good luck, good riddance to him and along with the Chicago Cubs. Hope you do well there, but we don't have to worry about you messing off any more games in H-Town. They still have Hader, right? Who I didn't feel comfortable about him anymore. But now I guess the pressure's off him to look over his shoulder, have to worry about pressure. So now, I just stuck a little bit, so we're back in it. So now somebody's asked a question, and that is Michael Garcia. He says, we need an not a question, made a statement. We need an outfielder, Jimmy. He said, we need an outfielder. And Kevin Allen, we talked about TSU preview early, right before we missed you. We needed you to, can you get us a statistic from Texas Southern University's Sports Information Director Ryan McGinty, and do you mind asking Ryan, when is the last time that the women's basketball team started conference play 7-0? 8-0. That's what we want to know. When the last time they started at 8-0? And I'm scrolling through some of the comments now. Ricky Scott, we're going to talk about high school right on the back now. We almost there. Just hold tight. Mike Garcia says, I'm interested. We need an outfield, Jim. Yes, the outfielder would come from Altuve going to left field. You have to understand our left field in the left field in what used to be called Minute Maid Park, right? It's not the same as other left fielders. There's nobody robbing anybody over the fence in our left field. Our left field is like a green monster in left field. So Altuve can be 5'7" or he can be 6'7". He's still not going to catch a ball that's going to rob somebody from hitting a home run. So that's a good thing by having him in the left. He's fast enough. What type of arm do you need from left field? I mean, Altuve, he has a decent arm. Don't get it twisted now. It's a decent arm. He would be able to platoon and take some pressure off Yordan Alvarez in left field. Obviously, the Astros have shown in trying to get him to rest as much as possible and be DH as much as possible. They need his glove. I mean, they need his bat. They don't need Alvarez's glove. They need his bat. So that mean now you have Bregman who's back and comes in, and this is totally up to Bregman. Altuve said, I would do whatever it takes to get my dude back. Meaning I would leave second base and go over to the outfield. Then that means now Bregman goes back to third. The young fella they just signed will go over to second. I have no problem with that. That actually adds a good extra stick into the lineup. Then that way, Alvarez. Remember, so we'll see how this thing turns out. But it's totally up to Bregman. Astro had a 6-year deal on the table. Nobody out there beat that deal. Otherwise, he would be gone. Nobody beat that deal for 6 years. People want to do 3 years. People want to do 2 years, 1 year. Nobody want to touch that 6 years. We offered you 6 years. For what? I want to say what, 180? So, guess what? That means it's showing you now the market has crunched itself and extracted again on Bregman, but we're willing to pay you because that's the tip. If you're no longer serviceable after 3 to 4 years, as what we're accustomed to in the lineup, offensively and defensively, he's a Golden Glover at the third base. So we ain't worried about his defense right now. The offense has got a little shabby this year, a little shaky. Astros will be all right. And now I'm looking at some more comments. Yeah. Rob Veazey. Altuve is Biggio 2.0. Craig Biggio played second base. He played center fielder. He played back catcher for the Houston Astros. He did whatever it takes. Now, Craig Biggio didn't win no ring. I take Altuve. I would have took out Craig Biggio over anybody else, except for maybe Joe Morgan. Astros didn't keep him long enough for the sample size back in the old days. But Altuve, I mean, you got to realize, guys, a lot of players on this Astros roster were not there in 2019. The vast majority of these players are new. The core is Altuve, Bregman. So I like that. So I thought I'd just address that. I put it up there, that is what I think, address that topic. Now, we are 3 minutes away from the top of the hour. And we did, I mean, thank you guys. We're doing good. We're rolling. We're rolling. Y'all help me out. Y'all got to keep sharing the show. At the top of the hour, we're going to share this show again. and we get it out there to your pages, right, to your timelines. We'll talk, Ricky Scott, you're asking this question, we'll talk about this. Let me make a note. Ricky Scott wants to talk about Rick Scott high school basketball playoffs. Okay, I got you, Rick Scott. I'm looking at some of the questions, and that way I can address them. Paul Miranda say, what Texas Rangers news do you have for me, bro? And Mike Garcia has answered the question, Paul Miranda. He says, hey, man, Rangers, you went to the World Series and didn't even make the playoffs. Right now, you got to work on making the playoffs again, getting into the postseason. You have enough talent that everybody knows that. It's just that your fear factor is gone now. The fear factor is gone. Your pitching, of course, you might can argue that you had two possible Hall of Famers that was hurt last year and it came. We'll see how that plays out this season. Speaking of the Astros pitching, we have four starters that won't be in the lineup, won't be on the roster again when the season starts. We got four. McCullers and Garcia are not going to be in the lineup, on the roster when the season starts. What else we got? Okay. Now, we are officially creeping up to the top of the hour. It's the part I like. We can move into the conversation of talking then we go college now. I'll give you a little college news, and then we'll go right into high school, McDonald All-American. We'll take your recruiting questions and whatnot. First, I want to make sure, remind you guys, you saw me go and get this right here out the fridge a while ago. That's my good sport. Let me tell you something. This thing here, 1,600 milligrams of electrolytes. When I drink this thing, I might turn into Gizmo from the Gremlins, flying around this room, this stuff right. This thing here. Good sport. Now, here we go. Top of the hour. Let me share with you guys. I'm sharing the show as well. I just shared it to my timeline, and now I'm putting it in my stories. All right. So first batch of college news is Cleveland State. They have announced, they're a Division I institution. They have announced that they're going to discontinue softball, wrestling, and women's golf starting next year. Not next year, starting after this season, going into the 2025-26 school term, they are going to discontinue at least those three sports. They're no longer going to recruit anybody from there in those sports. All players that are currently on the team will obviously have to go into the portal. And this is a result of the NCAA and the court's decisions and what is probably on the horizon, what you would have to go and pay from Title IX, women's possibly. You may have to pay women exactly what you're paying the men. So a lot of schools, I guess this is the solution for Cleveland State. It's big news. That is big news because they're not the first and they're damn sure not the last. They're not the first and they're not the last. That's huge. All right. Well, as you guys see, what we do to you guys now, we'll shift gears, and as I shift gears and take you into what some of y'all want to talk about, and that is this McDonald's All-American game. Right? Now, as you see, those are the rosters. Of course, most of you guys, unless you've been under the rock, you have seen those rosters, looked over them, looked through them. What's glaringly not on the rosters is there's not a single player from the state of Texas. The last time that a McDonald's All-American game took place and there was nobody from Texas was 1997. 1997. Right? Let me make sure. That was the last time. I think Rashard Lewis was 98, if I'm not mistaken, right behind it. 1997. 24, 25 games ago? And so people will say, well, and understand. So that makes Texas a topic of conversation because there's two young men that were in conversation that had that many people thought, if not both, one would definitely make it. And those two young men are Sheldon Henderson from Bel Air High School. Sheldon Henderson from Bel Air High School. And Kingston Fleming. I'm sorry, Bel Air's in Houston, about 4 miles from the Galleria. And Kingston Fleming is from San Antonio, a school called Brennan High School. Right now, Brennan is the #1 ranked team in the state. They've Kingston Fleming, both young men, Sheldon and Kingston, made a USA basketball team throughout their high school career. They both won gold medals with USA basketball. They both were ranked in the consensus top 30 in the country, top 25 in the country for the most part. Sheldon played on the Nike circuit. Kingston played on the Puma circuit, which Puma has 3 players already in. They've only been in existence for two cycles, so that's historic, uncharted territory for them. That's a reason to pop a cork if you're on the Puma administration or board. Ditto for Adidas. Adidas had 9 players out of these 24 that made it, were selected. Adidas is the official outfitter for the McDonald's All-American game. I think last year it was I want to say it was an African American outfitter who was tabbed to get the apparel or help them with the designs. But back to this Kingston Fleming and Sheldon Henderson thing combo. Oh, by the way, the McDonald's game we played in New Jersey, in the where the New Jersey Nets play this year. I think somebody just asked that question. I'm certainly shocked because I got the word. Remember, I told you one of the young ladies on the board members. She asked me, did I want to know which players got picked. This was after the day after I told you guys on the Chop Shop, they had a board meeting from the McDonald's Corporation. So the McDonald's Corporation, not the McDonald's All-American game, but the McDonald's Corporation has to sit in and stamp everything that goes on with that game, because the Ronald McDonald House, every city they go in, they have community service projects with kids that are in the Ronald McDonald House or and whatnot, and so the players go and do that and take a visit or go and check out some, so it's all entwined. So I said no, I didn't need to see them. I don't want to, I get my own words. So I came on the Chop Shop and you guys I asked you, said, hey, do y'all want me to go and find out? I can go and check and find out. So now Luke back and hit her back, and she told me, I ain't see none on there. So I didn't come back and tell you guys because I didn't believe her. You ain't a basketball when you was in corporate. No, you got that messed up. Ain't no McDonald's game, ain't no Sheldon Henderson and no Kingston Fleming in there. No. So, and she did tell me it was one from Houston with the girl, but we knew that was a free space in bingo. Young lady from Cy Springs High School. She signed with South Carolina. We knew that, right? So now, as the days go forward, I get intel from somebody that tells me, hey, Sheldon. I'll read the intel without giving you who they are. And check this, y'all bear with me. I'm helping you, I'm telling you something. This is crazy. Here we go. I got intel that had me smiling on last Wednesday. Sheldon Henderson more than likely will be McDonald's. So everybody has, coming from different angles and different sources, So I'm like, okay, cool. That was Wednesday. Then on Saturday, Friday, I got word that Kingston Fleming did not make it. So that let me believe, well, if Kingston didn't make it, then Sheldon damn sure gonna make it. Then you get to this list, and neither of them are on it. So I had got more intel that there are some people that were out there that felt, and let me dispel, I like to dispel myths and rumors. And you here right now, you might want to share this show right now. I'm telling you, you might want to share the show. You might want to share the show. The thing about this Kingston and Shelton is, both of these young men, there's a lot of kids from Texas that have opted to leave their high schools over the past decade or so. A lot of them have. And it didn't move the needle for the majority of those who left Texas to go and play private. When I say move the needle, here's an example of moving the needle. If you're going to the 12th grade and you decide to go out of state to or whatever, Boogaloo prep, then that's high school season when you're a senior. I'm giving an example. It's probably not going to start until around Thanksgiving. Well, hell, you will have signed with the college of your choice in all likelihood the second Wednesday of November. That's when the signing dates start, right? So when I say move the needle, meaning that most of the kids that done that, they didn't go there, and most of them, don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about, talking about most did not. Not all, most. For you guys get to running and running left when not paying attention. So Kingston and Shelton, these are two guys that would have definitely, had they left wherever they would have went, they likely would have moved the needle. Both were convinced to stay, not just stay home and sleep in their own bed, but to stay at a public school that could have helped the UIL in their fight to keep the pipes flowing. Didn't work. It's going to be hard as hell to keep that next one or the next two or the next three from leaving if that opportunity presents itself. Now, don't get it twisted. There's players that left from the state this year and were on the cusp of McDonald's All-American consideration. I mean, they were ranked in the top 50. Then you got a good lane on the track. You can play your way in. Hudson Greer and John Clark. Now they probably looking back on it was like, I could have slept in my own bed for this. You got two guys say I could have left for this, and two others probably saying I could have stayed at home for this. So we're talking McDonald's All-American. If you just tuned in, now I see some of your comments. I will start posting on the board. Alfio says this is embarrassing for the state. So you telling me all those players in Dallas and Houston and San Antonio, we can't get one? Alfio must not be having class today, boy. I ain't saw Alfio put a WTF on the page ever. Hey, be a good sport, Alfio. No pun intended. Now, here's another one. I'm just going down the line. I'm going down the line. The problem, Big Coach said, the problem I have with this is that these kids going to JUCO. It was kids going to JUCO and the Dutch saying JUCO signees was robbed or snubbed from the game. Specify what kids you're talking about, Big Coach, right? Specify what kids you're talking about. So that way we'll go, right? Keith Avery asked this question earlier in the year. Sorry, just not getting to it. When the committee is picking the players for the McDonald's All-American game, does the 5-star players automatically get the nod over the 4-star player? No, it's not no, it's not like that. But many people that have votes have affiliation with national rankings outlets. And just like ESPN, they normally put their rankings out right before a day or so, or in the wake of the teams being released. A lot of people redo their rankings going into the end because they want to make sure the ones that they know on there, they'll push them on up the list so it can be justifiable. But in many cases, guys got to understand. I mean, there's so much to understand about it. There's so many. We can be all day peeling layers back. There's so many different voters. Now from Texas, there are 2 voters that we know, and I want to get into something and dispel a myth. First is, if I tell you who the 2 voters are, I got intel that there are some people felt that the reason that Kingston didn't make it was because he didn't play for Nike, or maybe because John Lucas didn't push for him. I also got intel from that person that led me believe that easily they admitted they thought, and I just let them go. They thought that John Lucas, he was added to the McDonald's All-American Game Selection Committee about a decade ago. Well, John has not been on the committee. He was, because of the several conflicts, they removed him from the selection committee a couple of years back. Hell, it might have been after COVID or a year after COVID. One of the 2. So John Lucas did not have a vote. So if Kingston Fleming did not make it, it wasn't because of John Lucas. Obviously, it wasn't because of John Lucas, because if that's the case, John would have got his own kid in, who's like a stepson to John, and that's Sheldon Henderson. So remember, I told you guys, and I said this a couple of years ago, DFW, a couple of years ago, we got 6 players in the game, all from DFW, and of course the state of Texas. But it was DFW. You didn't say Texas. You made a lot of people around the country basically feel antagonized and envious not of DFW. You guys definitely have been running them out there. You're the hottest city in the country, but the way that it was shoving it down people's throat. Gloating is good, is great, but over gloating, and you basically wanted to make it seem like you were on an island by yourself. It was just DFW, not Texas. So then a lot of people said Texas don't need my vote. A lot of people may have felt that way. Meanwhile, since John Lucas is no longer on the selection committee for boys, two men that dwell in DFW have been added to the selection committee. One is Jermaine O'Neal, former NBA star, and who's very active in the grassroots scene with his EYBL sponsored Drive Nation program. Vonzel Thomas, right? And Vonzel has his Southern Assault, right, program, and which is sponsored by Adidas. So here's the deal. I'm definitely not saying that this is what happened. I'm just going to paint a picture of how some things could happen. There could have been players from Southern Assault or from Drive Nation or the Dynamic Prep School in the last couple of years that might have been deemed good enough by Vonzel and or Jermaine O'Neal. And at the time, John Lucas may have been a way to give them a vote of support. That may not have happened. And if that type of scenario, it's not, I'm just giving a scenario. If that type of scenario is not, let's say if it's true, which nobody out there would admit, none of them would admit it. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I got to throw it in the hypothetical realm. There's no way to prove it unless one of them did admit it, which I would be shocked they did it unless they did it when they write their book. You know, when they're long gone out the business and write a retirement book, you know, a memoir, then you might get that. But let's say if it's true, then if the rabbit has the gun, then do you think they would be willing to, one or the other one, and or the other one would be willing to help get Shelton a vote of support? Some people ain't looking at it for like Texas. Some people ain't looking at it like, well, you know what? And then it ain't just a McDonald's game. Remember, John Lucas was over the selection committee. He was the chair of the selection committee for the NBPA Top 100 camp, which many times some guys like that. So it wasn't a McDonald's game. That scenario applied to that. And what if one of them tried to get a player in, and what if they didn't get in? Then could there have been some revenge? Now, that would explain, if that theory, if that theory was true, that would explain, what's his name? Shelton Henderson. But how would that explain Kingston Fleming? I'm going to look up the numbers. San Antonio Brennan played against Dynamic Prep. Matter of fact, let me look it back up. I want to make sure I got this right. I'll make sure I got this right. Y'all hold tight. Hold tight, because I want to get it right. Y'all share the show. I'm getting this right. San Antonio Brennan is 24-2 right now on the season. They're 24-2 on the season. They lost 2 games all year. And if I'm not mistaken, both of those losses were in Washington, D.C. at the beginning of December. Right? 2 double-digit losses. Now, they played Dynamic Prep on the 16th of November. Brennan won 88-86. If I'm not mistaken, Kingston Fleming damn near scored 50 in that win. I think he finished with 48 points. While Jermaine O'Neal was on the other bench. If there's ever was a time to be able to evaluate, and mind you, Jermaine O'Neal Jr. was on that court. Kingston had about 48. So that doesn't mean that, understand guys, fast forward through this. Just because they didn't make it don't mean at all that they didn't get a vote from any of the 2 Texas voting members at all. That don't mean that. That means that they didn't get enough votes. So as I say, it's more people out of Texas. Now, I know people that vote that will come out and say, after I've been on committees and after it's over with, I would come out and say, man, I didn't vote for him. Or I say, yeah, I did vote for him. So maybe one of Jermaine O'Neal, Vonzel Thomas, y'all can come to the front of the pew. Did you vote for Kingston Fleming? Or Sheldon Henderson? But guess what? It could have been one could have voted for one, and the other one could have voted for the other one. But I mean, you didn't vote for the other kid. So that means they could have just canceled out instead of having 2 votes, right? 2 votes of power to go in. They might have 1. That's, that's something to think about. But I got so many comments in here. So many comments in here, you guys. I see them. I see the comments, and we're gonna address them. But first and foremost, this is a great combo. Great combo. So I need you guys to share the show right now. All right? And as you share the show, I'm going to do this for you. Look what I got up there. Look what I found, y'all. Boy, we rapping right now. I'm breaking it down. Oh, man, you rescued me, so I ain't got to worry about talking that much McDonald's talk. I've been talking McDonald's.
We just landed. I'm trying to find out how I can make my earpiece work, but it won't work out here. Can y'all hear me? Hey, the champs have landed. Hold up, let me talk to you guys. Hold up. There we are.
What?
Hey, let me tell y'all something too.
What place they in?
I want to thank all the first responders. And we had emergency on the plane with one of our people in our private party. Older gentleman. I'm not going to share his name. But he's in our travel party, and he got sick on the plane. We had doctors and nurses come from everywhere to help him. And first time that ever happened to me. First time that ever happened on a flight with us. So, and first responders and the doctors and the nurses and all those people. Thank you so much for being there for us. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. I don't know if any one of y'all have ever been in a situation like that before, but it really it was touching. We was up in the air. We was an hour away. So but we are right now. We are right now. Everything's good. So what y'all been doing? Talking McDonald's, all American stuff. What y'all been talking about, man?
Oh man, just breaking it down. The giving the theories on, on why no player from Texas was selected. I really believe that one would have made it. really had believed that one would have made it. Then I got the intel that that Kingston. I got the word that Kingston wasn't gonna make it on like Friday, and so just Hatter just got bumped out. He's probably so we'll see if we get back in there. Meanwhile, this ain't just Kingston Fleming and Sheldon Henderson. And another thing for Sheldon, in case before you go too far down the rabbit hole, there's a rule for the McDonald's game, and this rule, it probably prevented Carmelo Anthony's son, right, from being picked. And that is, you must play at least 50% of your senior season as of up until the game or something, up until a certain date. You have to have played 50% of your games. I'm not sure that Sheldon Henderson, if that's the reason, then that would be easy to understand. But that would have been put out there by now, but if that's the reason. But it sounds like that wasn't the reason. But let's say if he has not played 50%, he's missed a lot of games this season, dealing with a nagging, ongoing back injury. But he's found a way to suit up in certain instances when they went out of town, whether it be the Hoop Fest in Dallas, whether it be in Arkansas at the event up there, the King Cotton, or it was in Kentucky when they recently went up there and they flew them up to Bel Air up there for one game. So I'm not certain that Sheldon met the criteria, the qualifying criteria for his games. I mentioned Kian, and there's a couple other young men. Well, I know one guy that I saw that put in some work. Little fella, little guard, Jasper Johnson. He didn't get picked. But those are guard spots, right? That would have, so, and somebody asked earlier about the reclassifying thing. That's a rule, guys. It's been certain players that have made the McDonald game that we know played more than 8 semesters of high school. And there have been some guys that did not make the McDonald game because that was used against them. And there's been some right here in Texas. Hell, right here in Houston. At the start of it, and I think they've never fully put that genie back in the bottle, because when some people have reclassed, and they haven't just put it out there and just dealt with it in writing, and that probably is hurting a lot of guys. Probably is hurt. I know that back in 2005, Gerald Green made the McDonald's All-American game. Everybody within the 6'10" loop or inside the beltway knew that Gerald Green, who at that time he was at Gulf Shores Academy, but they know that he had repeated one of his grades after leaving Dobie High School. That's where he went. Everybody knew that. But Gerald Green he was selected to the McDonald game. And they never said, oh, we made an error, that'll never happen again. It's been wherever they'd see, whatever it a fit for them, or it applied. And a year later, Matter of fact, Gerald Green, 2 years later. Was it 2 years or 1 year later? 1 or 2 years later, the big fella who plays for the Denver Nuggets, DeAndre Jordan. Similar situation. DeAndre Jordan was going on his 9th and 10th semester of high school. He went and left Episcopal. He was no longer going to be able to play at Episcopal because he had expired them 8 semesters. He went to Christian Life Academy that was coached by Carlos Wilson. And DeAndre Jordan wasn't picked because they say, aha, that's too many semesters of high school. You're reclassed. So you guys go figure on that. Herb, what's this on here? Now I'm going down to some of the comments, and I'm posting some up. Dora says, when politics don't work for the politicians, seems something shifting, we will all find out soon. Yes, when politics don't work for the politician. Well, see how it go. But at the same time, it's two different angles. That's why this thing here with the McDonald thing, you're talking about one kid from San Antonio who didn't come from the normal route, played the Puma circuit versus one with the Nike circuit with Moai. But USA basketball, normally when you win that gold medal and you're starting, normally that propels you, kind of like what it did for Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes went to USA basketball, won the gold medal, played an intricate part in them doing so, and that his life changed once a lot of the NBA people watching you, a lot of the different scouts are watching you. So big coach said, who does Sheldon replace? Are you serious? Well, I'm not on the committee. I can go and tip that all day, but there's one or two players on there that a lot of people know that when they see it on there, it's like they shake their head like, but it's positions. It's positions. So that's the thing. We got some more comments. I'm gonna put some of your stuff on the screen. Herb says, in my opinion, it seems that the powers that be in the grassroots community are pushing the agenda of these year-round summer basketball programs. And Paul Miranda says DFW has had many burger kids that stayed in their public school, Kimberly Lake, Highlands, Duncanville, in the last few years. That is true, but this particular year was one, whereas it was rumored that, it was for a minute that everybody thought Sheldon was gone. They had to reel him back in. It's different from Kingston because his high school coach was also his grassroots affiliation. And so that's different. That's a similar relationship that enabled both young men the opportunity to, or the decision to stay. Alfio, shout out to the media class over at the Legacy of the School of Sports Sciences. If you get those guys to share the show, they have pages as well. Share the show. I'm looking at some of once again, this is absolutely not true. It's a lie, Paul. It's a lie. The 2 McDonald's All-Americans from Texas live in DFW. John Lucas is not on the selection committee for that no more. Can't you understand? Them not picking Sheldon is a stance that they don't give a shit about John Lucas no more. They don't. That's a stance against John Lucas. There are a lot of people been long willing to take. Once a black guy get that much power, you own the McDonald's selection committee. You own the NBPA Top 100 selection committee. You over that. That means whatever you're doing events with USA Basketball president. I mean the head of of the brass. They did a camp together. So that means now he's at every hole that you can run in. That's too much power for some. You guys know I'm down with John. It's H-Town, but I'm talking about from the other side of the fence, what they're saying. Hell, they said the same thing about me in Houston. They're too much power for some, for him. Right? So, what you do is, it reminds me of a theory from Tom and Jerry, the cartoon show. It feels like Tom, whoever the cat may be, you follow me on this analogy, in an effort to shoot the mouse, Jerry, you're willing to implode the entire house. You're willing to blow up the house in order to kill the mouse. That's what it's feeling like. And if that be the reason, then that's the wrong reason, because there's other stuff that dwell in the house. And I'm looking now. I'm just reading some of the comments. You had so many comments on there. Yeah. Shout out to Chad Grove over in Arizona. Shout out to Chad. He's always watching the Chop Shop. And okay, we got a correction. Paul was saying he was agreeing with the theory on the Lucas thing. Not okay. So we on. I got you on that, Paul. And so so that's the thing on that game, guys. Hell, C.J. Ingram is another kid that could feel he got snubbed. The thing, if you look at the rankings list, most of those guys, they push certain guys up or drop certain guys down, and you can pretty much know it from whereas when you see those, you're looking at several rankings lists, you can tell. Nike recently released the roster for Hoop Summit, and Kingston wasn't on that. So that was a well, he don't have to be. That's mostly Nike guys, but they go beyond Nike guys for that. Don't get it twisted. So Shelton isn't on that. So it's guys understand it's. I just think it should be more transparency. Either two things, because it's easy to find out who the voters are, just like it was easy before. And today's society, man, just so different because now I honestly feel you can damn near buy a vote now from somewhere. That don't mean you're gonna get a kid in. That's the scary part. That's the world we live in right now. But here's what happens now. Kingston Fleming, Sheldon Henderson, Jasper Johnson, Keon Anthony, C.J. Ingram, you guys aren't the first snubs, nor will you be the last. A lot of people, what is this going to do and install inside your hearts as you proceed through your basketball journey? That's the question. How are you going to do? What kind of motivation does this give you now? Because it's awakening. Guess what? There are some people that obviously did not think, that may not have thought you, a collection of people may not have thought you were good enough for the first time in your life. And most people will never forget their first as well as their last. So what I'm saying is, I'm rooting for a Shelton. I'm rooting for a Kingston as they proceed into college and will face a lot of these young men. And boy, somebody better alert those young men that were guards that made it and those guys that were wings that made it, because my thing is this is going to be the tell all. If and when you face them, and you will, what are you going to do about it? It's going to be show and prove day. That's why if you ever notice some players, they have incentive. They have a motive when they want to face you. And you might have forgotten. It might have been something you did in the 7th grade, 8th grade. They've been holding on to that and couldn't wait to face you again. This is what I expect from Kingston Fleming, Sheldon Henderson, when they get to Duke and University of Houston respectively. I'm thinking that Kingston Fleming will be yielded a lot more rope than Shelton maybe once they get as a true freshman. Because all eyes at Duke next year would be on the Boozer. That means singular / plural. Truth be told, guys, let's not even play with it. You ask me for two guys, two names, I can tell you two names easy. Well, one is a position, one of them is a guard. The second Boozer ain't better than Sheldon or Kingston. Maybe 1 out of 7 days of the week. Maybe. That's if he gets to play with his brother. Kind of remind me of the Harrisons, where think I was involved in the first time that they ever played basketball without being on the same team as an amateur. It was back then, John Lucas, we had a camp called the Southwest Invitational Camp. Oh no, that might have been the International Middle School Combine that we did at University of Houston in the Rec Center. You had Keith Frazier came down from Dallas and the Harrison, and I told Luke, let's put them on different teams. And that was the first time so to this day, even in the All-Star, in the McDonald game, Boozers getting to play together. Now we did the same thing. I think we split them up. I think we split them up 2 years ago when they came to Top 100 camp. I'll go back and look through my notes. If somebody watching, you guys, I think we did split them up then. I think we split them up then as well. Well, not them up as well. We did split them up to see how one can fare without the other. But it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm looking at some more of the comments. Thanks, A. Smith. Don't know where you're from. Thanks for the compliment, man. It's not easy doing it doing the show on solo. And every day I do that. Here go a question. Does anybody in the city of Houston have real juice? This ain't a Houston thing. What the hell they got to do with shit with Kingston Fleming? This is a Texas thing. What do you call real juice? What do you call real juice? I would like to know that, Jay. What do you call real juice? Because there's a lot of people out there that can't get on no committees. It's like politics. You got to put somebody in office in order for, and it's like no difference. You got to put somebody in office. You got to go in and plant your judges. You have to go and do this. So a lot of guys haven't impressed the powers that be enough in order to be invited in those spaces. Yeah, Jermaine O'Neal did. Vonzell Thomas did. They're on the committees now. So now, like I say, what happens if those scenarios that I just painted 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, if those hold true, then what happens if one is trying to do an event and you're inviting the other one? Hey, man, don't you send me your teams up here, man. And unless there's a conversation, then one is going to think that the other one may have slighted them or blocked them out or blocked the kid out. Then why would I support you? And if that's be true. That's what happens. It's an ongoing thing. It can be an ongoing thing, which I hope like hell it ain't true. Like I say, it's very well possible. There are many people from Texas that I have hit the table on to try to get into top 100 camp and was just outvoted. But I understood, I mean, guess what? It's going to work both ways. It's going to be kids, you're going to try to get in, and I'm not going to necessarily vote with you, but I'm not going to vote with you, give my vote out of spite. Never did that to nobody. Because after it's over with, I go and have a talk. So that way it ain't no, make sure, hey man, look now. If it ever happened to you, I'm not doing it for spite. I may do it one day. I may not like a kid that you nominate. Something to think about. Something to think about. And something else for you to think about, guys, is this. Speaking of grassroots basketball, Spring Icebreaker is taking place March the 14th through the 16th in Houston, giving away $1,000 to each one of the champions. Of course, we have a restriction on the minimum of teams in each division in order for it to be eligible for that money to be granted. But this is March the 14th through the 16th, the Spring Icebreaker. You can scan that QR code right now with your cell phone, or you can simply go to rcssports.com. Go to rcssports.com, and you can click on one of the banners to list your teams. A lot of people are having tryouts right now. I get it. A lot of people don't really know how many teams they have, but the Spring Icebreaker will indeed be as good as advertised. Will be as good as advertised. In case you missed it earlier, I want to give you guys a laugh before we go. We're getting ready to land the plane. You guys know Archie Young. He's the videographer extraordinaire in the amateur basketball scene. He used to be in the music industry with the Swisher House or Swab, Swab House, Swisher House, and all that right there back in the day. Archie and I have been filming a weekly session of games. I go in the gym the other day. And I'm gonna show you guys what I saw. This a guy looked like him, and like he must have. Look for yourself. Watch this. Look, that's Archie on the top in the stands. This guy is right here. Looks like a Archie, like Archie Jr. They got on white shoestrings. They got tennis shoes. They got Adidas on the thing. They got a baseball cap. Got a Archie and Archie Jr. I had to get that out there and show you guys today. That was the funniest thing happened over the weekend. Of course, don't forget there are games around Greater Houston today. I have a list of the top games to see on the front of rcssports.com. Go over to that website, click on rcssports.com, and you can check and see what are the top games to see. Also, you can see my predictions for each one. The other day, I picked 2 games exactly to the point total I think it was on Saturday or Friday, one of them. So check it out and see which one of the games. I'm going to be out there in these streets this evening, checking out some good high school basketball. And if you guys get the chance to do so, you do so as well. Other than that, guys, we are getting ready to go and land this plane. I thank everybody for tuning into the Chop Shop. Thank y'all for helping me run through this and making this indeed the best 120 minutes of your day. I want to dedicate today's show to Jerry Woodley. Jerry Woodley was a fixture in the sports scene in Houston. He wrote. He was multimedia. I mean, he covered Texas Southern University, covered U of H. I met him when I was just getting my toes wet into this business, and was helping. And he helped me along the way to producing the Ralph Cooper show on certain weekdays. I would go down to the station on Alameda and produce the show. Jerry was there. Chris Gardner would be in there doing, and this is a guy that I learned so much from afar. Of course, he's from Wheatley High School, 1973. I'm a Cashmere guy, so it's like different things. He would always drop me nuggets, especially when it comes to talking about players from yesteryear. I tip my brim. We're gonna miss you, Jerry Woodley, wholeheartedly. And that was a tough one to learn last week. As well, of course, tomorrow we'll talk more. Another funeral, have to go, another death in the family. My cousin Kevin Ray Johnson, and he was one of the founders of the Hay Select basketball program. That was the first program that T.J. Ford and Carlos Hurt ever played basketball in, organized basketball. It's the first ever program they played in. Ray, my cousin, we called him Ray. He was part of the financing on that program. They went and they traveled, played, kicked a lot of butt. And that's my first cousin right there. So another funeral. You guys know, you probably ain't met nobody that attended more funerals than me unless he was a preacher in the past 5 years. Thanks a bunch though, guys. I want to get it off my heart. And happy belated birthday to Sandra Menchaca Hicks. Of course, the audio was messed up yesterday. We had fun with a hell of a birthday blast for her. And as with that being said, we're going to ask you guys to share the show on your way out of the door. Share the show on your way out of the door. Give us one good share and make sure you spread the word about the Chop Shop. Peace, guys. We'll be up out here. On behalf of Robert Hatter, he was echoing, so in case you guys missed, that's why he had to hop on. He hopped off and didn't come back in. And I'll be with you guys. We'll wrap on tomorrow. You guys make sure, be safe out there. Appreciate it. Chop Shop. Let's do this thing just like this.